Hey everyone, and welcome to The Business Side, where I share insight into how to start and run your own leather business. Today we're tackling the concept of wholesale pricing, which is where you offer your items at a lower price point so that people can resell them. So we're going to be looking at wholesale pricing in kind of combining that with a bulk or volume pricing model, all with the intent to incentivize people to buy as many of your products as possible and to maximize your profits. So I'll show you how we do that. Let's get started. All right, let's start off with an example of what we're going to be doing today with a look at one particular item from buckleguide.com. We have a 1-inch solid brass D-ring here, and notice they have a bulk ordering chart. All right, where based on the volume, you get different prices. Right now, I've got a quantity of 9, and notice the tier that I'm in. I don't know why this says 10 and that says 10. It should not. I feel like this should say 9, 1 through 9. Here's why. When I bump my quantity here up to 10, I move to the next column. All right, so this just seems to be a glitch on their site. Move back to 9, I'm here. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, based on the volume of D-rings that you buy, there is a progressively cheaper price per item. All right, this is the unit price. So 5 tiers, 1 to 9, 10 to 99, 100 to 499, 500, 999, and 1,000 plus. Notice they have the discounts. You're paying the full price, the markup right here for 1 to 9. Then they go to 15, 25, 35, and 40% off. The reason why companies can offer discounts like this, the more that you order, is because you actually don't need as much profit margin if the volume increases. For example, if I made a leather item and it cost me $50 to make, but I only sold it for $51, that's just a $1 profit. All right, that's kind of dumb. However, if I sold 1 million of those items, $50 to make, 51 that I sold it for, I now have a profit of $1 million. Okay? So that's kind of the idea. Your margins can be smaller the more volume that you're doing. This is the idea with wholesaling also, because if you can make more profit, the more volume that you sell, you want to incentivize people to buy more volume. You get your profits coming in larger and larger chunks. Okay? So that's why systems like this exist. And we're going to do a similar thing for our wholesale pricing. Let's go to the spreadsheet now, and I'll show you how I do my wholesale pricing. All right, for the sake of saving time, I have already inputted data into the spreadsheet. This is the same spreadsheet that you can find linked below. The only exception is, like I said, I've already populated this, and I have made this little table off to the side that we're going to fill in at a later point. Okay. If you need to know how this spreadsheet works, explanation as to why this percentage is here, things color-coded the way that they are, the functionality, where the formulas are, go back a couple videos in the business side, and it is the video of how to price your leather work. That's where I explain how to use this particular spreadsheet. Okay, so I filled in generic items for a stunning leather item, whatever that is. And to determine wholesale pricing and what volume discounts you can offer to people who are going to resell your items in some way, we're going to be focusing right down here. Okay, so the total cost of this item is $78.74. For sake of argument, let's just say $80. Let's just round up. And the retail price at 150% profit margin here, a markup of 50%. If that doesn't make sense to you, why it's 150 instead of 50, go back and watch the previous video, like I said. But anyway, retail price, let's just round up to $120. 80 bucks to make, I'm going to retail it for 120. Okay? Your profit margin determines the maximum discount you can offer for your wholesale pricing. A 150% right here means the maximum discount you can offer is 33%. If you offer a discount higher than that, you're going to start to cut into your total cost here. Let's pull up a calculator. Okay, let me show you how this works. If I have an item I sell for $120, but it took me $80 to make this, that means if I sell it, I make a $40 profit. What percentage of the retail price is that $40? Well, to figure that out, you take your profit that you made, the 40, divided by what you sold it for. So in this case, 120. This is where we get, times 100, this is where we get our 33% that I mentioned. So if you mark something up 50%, all right, you have a 150 right here. The maximum that you can discount this is about by 1/3. If you go higher than that, you actually start to cut in to your cost. So let's just say it's kind of weird to offer a discount of 33 1/3. You could do that, but the threes repeat. Let's just say that you want to round up and offer a 35% discount. So if you have an item, this item that's $120, and you want to offer it for 35% off, that's like multiplying this by 0.65. That means someone could get this item for $78. Well, how much did it cost you? Well, we're rounding up to 80, but technically it was 78.74, so minus 78.74. Uh-oh. If you offer a higher discount than that third, you're going to start to lose money on every transaction. Okay, this is absolutely where you do not want to be. So that's why I say this profit margin actually determines the maximum discount, which in this case, I wouldn't go any higher than 33%. And even then, I probably wouldn't even go that high, because there could be something that you didn't account for in your pricing that could bite you in the butt later. So if your margins are that close and you're not moving the volume to cover it, you could very quickly go negative, and you absolutely do not want that. Okay, so let's go back to the buckle guy example. All right, they're able to offer 40% off. So if you have a 50% markup and the max you can go is 33%, look at these two tiers. They're going 35, they're going 40. What does that tell you about their margins? Their margins are higher than 150%. In fact, they're probably closer to 175 or 200%. When you realize that, you realize, man, I'm overpaying a lot for this. Yes, but you might have to. All right, the larger you get, where you can afford to be buying things 500 at a time, you can save a little bit of money, and this is where you can maximize profits once you get larger. But to start off with, you're probably buying in this range right here, so you're going to pay a little bit more. So again, this incentivizes you as a business owner to get the volume to where you can make these type of purchases, because that lowers your costs. Anyway, just so you understand, the reason they're able to offer 40% off is probably because they have margins like 175 all the way up to maybe 200%. And if you want margins like that, you can absolutely do that. All right, it's entirely up to you. But again, as we discussed in the first video where we talked about this, you kind of need to look at what other people are selling their items for. And if your brand isn't that big, you may have a hard time selling things if you're completely outpricing all of the competition of people who are more well-known and more established than you are. So just some food for thought. For this example here, we're going to keep this at 150%, which means whatever discount that we offer for our wholesale pricing, we cannot go higher than 33%. All right, we're going to make a similar chart here to determine our wholesale pricing, similar to what Buckle Guy had. So let's get started. All right, I have already entered some labels here: quantity, discount, and price. So the Buckle Guy had 5 different tiers of pricing. The reality is, if you're starting a leather business or in the early stages, just for the fact that you're not dealing with bulk hardware, okay, you probably are not going to start off selling 1,000+ items. If you are, I want to come learn from you. All right, if you're able to move 1,000+ leather items at a time, I want to come learn from you. All right, but until then, let's operate off the assumption that you're not doing thousands, but that you're starting off pretty small. And let's just say for you, getting an order of 50 of something would be huge. Okay, so I've got 4 different quantity tiers that we're going to be working with. We're going to do a 1 to 9 tier, a 10 to 29 tier, a 30 to 49 tier, and 50+. Okay. Let's do a similar thing with having a 0%, and I've already formatted these in preparation for the video. If you go and you try to replicate this, this is going to default to like January 9th. So you actually have to go up here to the toolbar and go all the way down to just text, and that'll keep it as you type it. Otherwise, it's going to try to default all of these things. 1029, that might change to October 29th. All right, and you absolutely don't want that. For the percentages here, just highlighted all these, click the percentage, and then for the price, because I want dollars, I've got my accounting stuff there. So, like I said, 0% for 1 through 9. Keep in mind, the max is 33%. Now, what you have to do for these tiers is kind of figure out what are some good divisions. All right, you could go 11 and 22%. All right, and that would evenly distribute things. That's fine. But you can divide these up however you want. So for this, a 0% discount, that means people are paying full price. Keep in mind, we're going to round up to 120. And we know that our lowest, the maximum discount, 1/3 of this is our $80. So now we need to figure out what 11% and 22% off is. So right here, I'm going to enter a formula. We're going to go equal sign, and I want it based off this full price. I'm going to click here. Notice that 05 gets put in there. 05 right there. It's blue. It's highlighted in blue. If you're familiar with how spreadsheets work, this is redundant. If you're not, if you don't know how formulas work, then pay attention. All right, I need to multiply this by a percentage. So multiplication is the asterisk, the little star, which is number 8 on my keyboard, so Shift 8. And then I need an 11% discount. So I need to subtract 11 from 100. That gets me 89. So I'm going to multiply this value in 05 by 0.89. Hit enter, and I see it is 106.80. I do a similar thing here for the 22%, equals, and I click the full price, multiply, Shift 8, and 100 minus 22 is 78, so 0.78, 93.60, and 80. Okay, these are the tiers that we can use. If you are not sure that you're going to be getting, or I'm sorry, I should say, if you are sure that you're going to be getting 50+ orders, you better make darn sure that this is 100% perfect, because you are really cutting your margins close and you're not going to make that much profit. So if I were you, my advice, you can do whatever you want. My advice is maybe not take this to the max. Okay? What if instead of 11, 22, and 33, what if we just did 10%, 20%, and 30%? All right, it takes a little bit of the edge off. Let's redo these calculations here. And instead of 0.89, this is now 0.9. So that gets us to 108. For this one here, this is now 0.8 instead of 0.78. And then this, instead of 80, we're going to go equals full price, shift 8 times, and we're going to go 0.7. 70%, so 84. Okay. Now, if you look at these numbers here, you can go strictly by these numbers. Absolutely can. If that's what you want to do, go for it. I don't care. You can do what you want. If this were me, I would actually round just a bit. Just a bit. So it's not going to come out to exactly 10%, 20%, or 30%, but I would probably change it. Now that I see kind of the ballpark these are in, I'd probably change this to 110, 95, and 85. All right, just to have everything nice and divisible by 5. Let's just go ahead and do that. This, instead of a formula in there, I'm just going to go 110, 95, and 85. Okay? Again, we're just getting an idea. You can leave it exact. I'm just showing you how I arrive at these numbers. It's not a 100% arbitrary thing. They're in the ballpark, but I am rounding to kind of keep the numbers as nice and pretty and consistent as possible. Okay? So let's do some calculations. Let's look at a hypothetical with these values in mind, and let's see what our profits begin to look like. All right, before we do some examples with the profits, I'm actually going to do some quick calculations here so we can see the margins for each of these discounts. So we see the discounts, but how much profit are we actually making? In order to do that, we are going to subtract the cost of the item. So for all of them, it costs us $80 to make this. So we're going to subtract 80 from each one of these, and then the difference we're going to divide by whatever we sold it for. So you've already seen the calculation for the full price one, but I'll show it again. So 120 is what we sold it for minus 80, which is our cost. That leaves us with $40. 40 divided by what we sold it for, 120, is 33%. So 0.33, and I've got this set up to make them a percent. Now, when we get into the 10 to 29, all right, it still costs me $80 per item, but I'm only selling them for $110. So 110 minus 80, that is now $30. Divided by what I sold it for, 110. That gets me a profit margin of 27%. So notice my margins are going down. And I'm going to do the same thing here. 95 minus 80 gets me 15 divided by 95. And I'm going to round up and say that is a 16% profit margin. 6. And let's see what our very last one is. All right, our highest, our most discounted tier here. So let's go with 85 minus 80. That equals 5 divided by what we sold it for, 85, and that gets us around, just say, 6%. Okay, so let's go 6. Voila. This is part of the reason why I said don't get so close to the edge here and max out your profit margin here by discounting it all the way, because if you're off even slightly on something, you can get into the negative real fast. So notice those margins are quite slim. So let's just we're going to look at just the dollar amount profits from someone buying the lowest number in each of these tiers. Okay, let's just take a look at that. So you already know that you're going to make 40 bucks if you sell one of these. All right, so 120 times 0.33. All right, 39. You're going to make 40 bucks. All right, it just rounds up. Let's say you sold 10 of them. So someone ordered 10, they qualified for a 10% discount. You sold them for $110 a piece times 10. Wow, it's over $1,000. This is not profit. Okay, this is just sales. Your profit is actually only 27% of this. So times 0.27, about $300. So $40 selling one. When you sell 10 of them now, all right, you don't get 10 times the profit, you get a little bit less. You get about 300. Some of you may be like, oh, that's just dumb. Why would you get less? Sell everything full price. Okay, you absolutely can. I'm just giving you an example, showing you how these margins work. Now, let's say someone places an order for 30 and they qualify for the $95 per item. So 95 times 30, almost $3,000. But again, this is not profit. These are sales. So times 0.16, $450 profit. All right. And then last but not least, let's say someone orders 50 of whatever these items are times 85. And oh my goodness, over $4,000. But again, this is not profit. These are sales. These are sales. So times 0.06, $255. That is less profit than even selling 10 of them. So why would you go this low? Why would you discount it this much? Well, no one's saying that you have to. But something you have to keep in mind, you're not doing this business for a one-time bulk order of 50 item sale. You are looking to maintain and cultivate relationships to where people buy 50 on an ongoing basis, or they buy more than 50. Maybe they want 100 of your items. So let's just think about that. Let's say that you cultivate a relationship or relationships with someone who is able to order 100, 200 at a time. Okay? Why is that better than someone ordering 10 at a time? Okay? Your profits are higher. If someone orders 10, you get almost $300. You get just over $250 if someone ordered 50. So why would you want someone ordering the higher tiers? It doesn't seem to make sense. Well, here's what you got to think about. If someone is only ordering 10 at a time, they're not moving a lot of volume. That means it's probably going to be a while before they reorder because they're not confident. They don't have the capital, whatever the reason is. They're not going to be moving those 10 items very quickly, which means they might order from you again in 3 to 4 months. They might order from you again next year. And so, yeah, that one purchase, you're making more profit on that one purchase, but if there's someone who's able to buy in this price range, that means they're able to move volume, which means they're more likely to be a repeat customer if your item sells well. Okay? So, let's just say that you were able to cultivate a relationship or relationships with someone and they were able to sell, they wanted to order 100 of your items. Okay, so at $85 a piece times 100, you get $8,500. Okay? Now let's do some calculations real quick. How long does it take you to make 100 of those items? Well, it takes you 1.5 hours each, so 1.5 times 100 items. That took you 150 hours. Look at how many work hours per month, 160. This took you about a whole month to get done. Now again, this is just standard 4 weeks a month, 40 hours a week. You're probably working more if you're running your own business. But yeah, we're looking at a solid 3 to 3.5 weeks of work to get this done. I'd be thinking, man, that's a lot of work to get this done. And it is. And it is. So again, we're dealing with $8,500. $8,500. Let's subtract our expenses now for 100 items. Minus, parentheses, 100 times my variable cost. $55.30. Close parentheses. Now I'm left over almost $3,000. So that is, if you replace the exact amount of everything you use, you paid yourself $25 an hour for 150 hours of your labor, and you replace the exact amount. You can replace everything. So you can do that order again the next time. You're still left over with almost $3,000. So let's subtract our fixed cost, all right, rent, utilities, e-commerce, stuff like that, minus 100 times 23.44, close parentheses, $626 is your profit. Some of you at this point are thinking, oh, it's not worth it. Keep in mind, we're not talking about retirement here. We're talking about someone getting started. We're talking about you getting started. What is the benefit of working for an entire month just for $626 extra dollars? Well, for one thing, all of your bills got paid. That's awesome. And now you're left over with some cash that you can choose to do something with. Let's just say, with this $626, there is now some tool or small piece of equipment that you can purchase for your business that reduces this time to 1 hour. It saves you half an hour. Okay? Now, you still quoted the people you sold stuff to these prices. So let's say that company who was able to move 100 units of whatever you're selling, they sell out, they come back and say, I would like 100 more because we're running low. This stuff is moving. Don't drop your price. Keep the price the same. So now we're talking about another $8,500. Let's go through, and just with that time save, just a half hour per item, because you've now done it 100 more times, you now have a piece of equipment that will help you do it faster, save you even more time. You've refined your process. You saved a half hour per item. What does that look like? What does that translate to in terms of dollars? Well, let's look at it. 8,500 minus, open parentheses, 100 times $42.80. We now, after replacing absolutely everything and paying for your time, now it only took you 100 hours. So you now have a lot more time in the month to actually make something else. You were able to replace all the packaging too, and you still have over $4,000 left. Well, let's get all of our fixed cost in there. Minus 100 times $15.63, close parentheses. Oh my goodness. You are now left with a profit, not sales, a profit of $2,657. Your profit the first time was only $626. 2,657 divided by 626 equals 4.2. You have quadrupled your profits simply because you getting more practice doing something and you being able to purchase a tool to reduce the time it takes you to make your item. Do you see the power in selling things for a lower profit margin? It seems counterintuitive, But the people who can buy in this volume, they're the ones who give you the most repeat business. The more repeat business, the more profit you get that you can then reinvest into your company, into your process, to maybe reduce overhead, reduce the time it takes you to make something, and that equals more profits. More profits you can do what with? Go buy something, put a down payment on a car, a boat, a vacation? I mean, you could, but that seems kind of dumb. Put it back into your business so that you can invest in something else. Maybe you're going to put that money, that extra money, into researching, R&D, prototyping some new product. Maybe you're going to put that money into training someone else to do the work that you just did just as well as you did, so that you can use your time to go do something else and grab another contract of someone who is buying in high volume. Does that make sense? This is what you need to shoot for. Yes, it's a lower profit margin, but the people who are able to buy in this quantity, they're buying more often. And that's what you want. You want multiple contracts of people buying in this higher tier. And if you get to where more people are buying in this and you have very few buying in these low tiers, all right, then readjust your wholesale pricing. Maybe make it a 1 to 49 gets you, something, and then 50 to 99 gets you something else, and then 100 to 200 gets you, there's a lot that you can do. But the big point is never go below, never discount things to the point where you're cutting in to your cost. And then you can break up your tiers. You can have as many tiers as you want that range from people paying full price, the maximum profits per item, all the way down to a minimum where you're not going to be losing money, and then you populate the in-between tiers to whatever you want. So that gives you a general idea as to how I do wholesale pricing. You don't have to do it exactly like I do it, and I don't even do it exactly according to these numbers here, but this is the basic premise. All right, let's finish this out back in the workshop. Well, hopefully all that spreadsheet and calculator stuff made sense. If not, let me know down below. I'll try and clarify things if I can. My hope is that there was maybe something that I shared today that you can take and apply to your business to help you be more successful. That's really the goal of all of this. So if you like the content that I'm making, please like the video, share it with someone who you think would also enjoy it. And if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps. So thank you very much for joining me on the business side of things at Justin Nazarene Leather Company. Have a great day now. Bye.